Hey folks, Anthony Skinner here with our new series, The Enneagram and Team Building. Now, this topic is more important than ever because so many of us are working remotely from home, which adds that layer of complexity to teamwork. But before we go any further, I want to welcome the host of the Typology Podcast and the host of this show, Ian Morgan Cron. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Anthony. As always, I'm glad to be here. And before we jump into our topic today, I want to ask you a question. We had Justice on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And he was in the throes of trying to make a decision about college. I think he was looking at like 10 colleges that had accepted him, but I still haven't heard the outcome yet. So what's an update?
Yeah, he had a lot of great offers, and boy, did it take him forever to make that decision. But really understanding his number and his process really helped me engage with him and be patient with him. So, and he landed on Lipscomb University here in town. So we're going to get to see him a little more, which we're looking forward to. So thanks for asking.
That's awesome. Well, give him my love, man. I'm glad he's going to be around.
Yeah, thanks. Will do. So before we go deeper into our show today, we're going to be talking about the Enneagram and team building. So let's give our folks a good definition of the word team.
Yeah, so a team is a group of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose for which they hold themselves accountable. Now, when I first read that very concise definition, I couldn't help stop myself from thinking there's something missing here. And so I added a little something. I say a team is a group of people with complementary skills and diverse personalities who are committed to a common purpose for which they hold themselves accountable.
Okay, good.
Yeah, not long ago, I heard a professor of psychology and organizational psychologist say that every team in the workplace has problems. And most of them, he said, are personality problems. So what I've seen as a corporate consultant is that when you apply the Enneagram in the workplace, it dramatically lessens and sometimes eliminates personality problems, and it builds stronger teams.
Great. So I know you have been doing a lot of consulting with corporations. What have you found that happens when leaders and teams introduce and integrate the Enneagram on their teams?
Ooh, so many things, brother, but here's maybe a short list. It increases motivation, it improves communication, it promotes cooperation and collaboration, it reduces conflict, it prevents misunderstandings, it elevates empathy, and it ensures that people feel seen, heard, and valued for their contributions to the team's work.
Such a powerful tool. So in this series, we're going to answer the question, what do I need to do and what do I need to know in order to effectively lead or work alongside each of the 9 Enneagram types to build stronger teams? And so today we're going to talk about the
Sixes.
Yeah, the loyalist.
Indeed.
Tell us about the Sixes.
Well, it's important to remember, and I'm saying this in every show for every type. Every type has an unconscious motivation that powerfully influences how that type's pattern of behavior works itself out, right? It's vital for team members to know the unconscious motivation of their colleagues, or they won't understand why their fellow teammates act, think, and feel the way that they do.
Right. So let's talk about the Six's unconscious motivations.
Well, the unconscious motivation of the loyalist is to feel safe, secure, and supported by others.
Okay, so what can leaders and team members do to help optimize the loyalist performance?
Okay, well, let's start with what happens on teams when sixes lack self-awareness.
Okay.
So unskillful sixes have this habit of constantly questioning everything and everyone. They also self-doubt. They don't trust their own decision-making abilities, and they ask a lot of questions, which can slow teams down to a crawl and frustrate people.
Right. So let's talk about when they're healthy and self-aware.
Well, when they're healthy and self-aware, sixes are fantastic team builders. They're quick-witted, they're charming, they're practical, and they're great problem solvers. Also, sixes are devil's advocates. I mean, their superpower is being able to spot what could go wrong in a plan or project faster than anyone else. Okay?
Oh, that's good.
And now people will think, well, that sounds like Debbie Downer, like I've met that kind of person. Listen, that can be a real asset in the hands of a healthy six. Every team needs a loyal skeptic who isn't afraid to point out potential flaws in a plan and ask if the boss has a contingency plan should the worst happen.
Oh, so invaluable. Okay, so let's talk about how we can help sixes become great leaders and team members. Let's go through our tips as we've been doing in the past. What's your tip number one?
Be trustworthy. Loyalty is important to sixes, and it takes time to earn their trust. But if a leader or team member demonstrates transparency and honesty, loyalist team members will take a bullet for them.
That's good. Okay, tip number two.
Allow their questions, and there's lots of them. If you have a six on your team, just remember they're going to ask you a lot of questions. And it's not because they're opposing you, but because they want to make sure someone has looked at the big picture and knows what to do if something goes wrong.
That's so good.
So you need to listen to their concerns and answer all their questions. You might feel exhausted by the process, but if you don't, they won't back your initiative or your plan. They won't get on board.
That's good. Okay, tip number three.
Check on their progress. And this is a really fascinating feature of sixes. Sixes have this odd tendency to believe that thinking about something is the same as doing it. And that's never more evident than in the workplace. So if you ask sixes if they're working on a project for the team, they'll say yes, even if they haven't done a thing except plan and think about it.
Wow. Yeah.
To them, thinking and doing feel like the same thing. So you need to check with them often if you really want to know where they stand in terms of progress on a project.
Okay, so to recap the three tips: be trustworthy, tip number one. Tip number two, allow their questions, make room for the questions. And tip number three, check on their progress. Do you have a good closer for us to go out on today?
I do, and it's for your son, Justice.
Okay.
Who is a six.
He is a six, yes.
And he had a hard time choosing between 10 colleges for all the reasons I just spoke about.
That's absolutely right, yes.
And your knowing he was a six gave you empathy and compassion for him that you would not have had you not known the Enneagram.
100%, yep.
So here's a quote for Justice.
Okay.
Brene Brown. Faith is a place of mystery where we find the courage to believe in what we cannot see and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. And what a great place to close. So we want to say we love you to all of our sixes. Thanks for checking into this program. And we look forward to our next episode of the Enneagram and Team Building. Until then, see ya.
See you later.